Hey, it's Noah Barron here. Do me a favor, subscribe to DNC Digital. All right.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy D from DNC Digital, back with another episode of DNC Radio. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody is safe with their kids and their parents and their families and their friends. Make sure you guys are wearing a mask and washing your hands. Today's guest is Noah Barron. Noah Barron is a very handsome, very intelligent, despite the fact he's a Red Sox fan. He is an actor, producer, and director from Massachusetts who has his own production company called Just Another Production Productions, and he runs his own YouTube channel called Noah Barron. So we're going to talk to him about that and living in LA and how everything is going and what he has going on in the future. Noah, what's going on, buddy?
I think that's the end of the interview.
Is that it? Is that it?
The Red Sox already. Wow.
I didn't even touch on the Pats yet, buddy.
Oh, man. Maybe we should just shift focus completely and just talk Boston sports.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Jersey, so it's
Okay.
like it's a state law to not root for anything Boston, right?
I guess so. I mean, I knew that with New York. Jersey, okay, I'll give it to you.
You see, North Jersey, we go for the Yankees, and South Jersey seems to go for the Phillies. That's what happens.
Right. Okay, so you're a Giants fan.
I am a Jets fan.
You're a Jets fan.
Yes, it's an even sadder story, to tell you the truth.
Well, I mean, just from my perspective, being a Jets fan is a sadder story than being a Giants fan because you're the Jets.
Fair enough, but we stay true and faithful to our teams. But you did grow up about 10 minutes away from Boston in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Can you tell me a little bit about Cambridge for somebody who hasn't been there? Like, where do you go to eat when you grew up? Where do you go to play some basketball?
Okay, the best place to go to eat is called Anna's Taqueria. It's in Porter Square. It's a burrito restaurant. It is very authentic. It's like $10. They have a few of them. There's actually no, there's not one in New Orleans. Maybe there is. They're typically in Boston. There's only a couple of them. That's the spot. Every time I go home, I go there. Cambridge is interesting. So it's on the same. I lived on the same street as Harvard, and my father still lives there. Oh, hey, Captain America. That's my cat, Captain America.
That's the cat's name, Captain America?
Yeah, we actually adopted him, and the foster parents named him Captain America. And we saw him on the website to be like adopted, and it was like this handsome boy is brave, and his name's Captain America. And my wife and I were like, "That's our cat. That's him." Anyway, so Cambridge is interesting because it's very like prestigious, and it's Cambridge, it's Harvard, but at the same time, like I went to the public high school there for a couple of years, and it was not prestigious, and it was not. I mean, it was tough. Like we had metal detectors when we walked in. I got a knife pulled on me a couple times walking home. So Cambridge is interesting, but I love it.
No, of course. And you were 9 years old when you started to do some acting stuff. What drew you to the acting industry, and what made you want to be a performer like that?
It's so funny when people like throw out facts about me. I'm like, how do you know that? I'm like, oh yeah, it's all over the internet. So I mean, as I'm sure we'll get into a lot, Power Rangers is the reason that I got into acting. When I was 9, I would play on a trampoline with my friend Rachel, and she would pretend to be the Pink Ranger. I would pretend to be the Red Ranger, and I wanted to be a Power Ranger more than anything. We would jump, we'd kick, we'd flip, and an opportunity opened up to join an acting place with her called Boston Children's Opera, which was like terrible children's opera for kids. And there was a dropout from the Dracula performance, and they were like, "Hey, Noah, you're up next." Like, it didn't take talent or skill; they just were like, "Yeah, pay us money, and you'll be in it." So, with like a month before performance, I was given the role of Professor Von Helsing when I was 9 years old. I had an aria. I did a whole thing. It was my first time acting, and I loved it. I went on to do like 13 more musicals there. Continued it in college a little bit. Went to arts camp. Went to college. I went to one college, transferred out, went to another, got a dual degree in broadcast journalism and acting, and then moved out to LA. So that's everything.
Yeah, when you talk about your dual degree, and it seems like, I mean, it could be one or two reasons, because you did get theater and you did get broadcast journalism. So was it that you weren't sure on which path you wanted to take, or was it that you wanted to learn the industry from all angles?
It's a really good question. Hey, there's a question I've never been asked before. So I went to one college. I got recruited to play lacrosse, and that was my thing. I fell out of love with lacrosse. I wanted to do something more that I loved. So I went to another college called American University, and they had a great broadcast journalism department, a beautiful studio. I wanted to be an anchor. And then I got hooked into the theater department. And I was like, oh man, this again. And I had to stay one extra semester because I lost a bunch of credit transferring. And with one semester left, one of my professors was like, if you want to major in theater, you can stay another semester and finish up strong and like have a dual degree. And I remember the moment I decided to do theater over broadcast. It wasn't that I wanted to explore both sides. I genuinely thought I wanted to do journalism. And then once I bit that acting bug again, I was doing a show called The Exonerated. And it was also my week to be the anchor in our broadcast journalism class. And I had a faux hawk at the time because I made that choice as my character. And because I was frat president and I was really obnoxious as a human. But I remember my professor in broadcast journalism saying if I wore the faux hawk on air, she was going to like bump me down a grade because that's not what an anchor would do. And in that moment, I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna act. Like this faux hawk is for my play. So I wore the faux hawk. I got a worser grade. And I haven't looked back since that moment.
So when you even though it was a small amount of time that you did in broadcast journalism, does it give you some type of preparation for media when you do media? Like, are there questions that you expect, or any advice for anybody in media, including myself as an interviewer? I mean, to kind of stand out in broadcast journalism, I mean, everybody just wears a suit and sits there, or you can be somebody who does stand out.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I'd have a lot of advice. I mean, I took my last broadcast journalism class probably 12 years ago, and I only did it for 2.5 years. And when we did it, it wasn't reporting. It was, we would get together as a group, and 5 hours later, we would write all the articles, like all 12 or 13 of us in the class, and then one of us would go on air. And we'd rotate, like one person does teleprompter, one's the AD, one's the director, 2 are the news anchors, 3 are camera. So we would just rotate through to learn all of it. And we had to do packages, which are like, 30-second to 2-minute segments about like the cherry blossoms, or Obama came to school once, and I snuck a camera in and like filmed Obama in the arena, which was awesome. But like we didn't prep for interviews. We didn't really do much else. It was really like bump, ba-dum. This is how you do it this way. Here you go.
There's one post that you put up, I want to say about 1 or 2 weeks ago on your Instagram, and it talks about taking that leap and taking that chance. Before we get into that, can you tell me the one thing you hated the most about being a waiter?
The politics. When I do something, I do it 100%, and I put like all my effort and love and force into it. And as a waiter, I would get so much crap from like the managers. Oh, first of all, do you swear on this podcast?
Yeah, go ahead, man. It's all good.
I'm going to try not to. I curse a lot, but I try not to with interviews.
I've heard about Bostonians, but it's okay.
We have dirty mouths. Yeah, so I would get like write-ups for stuff for like caring too much, but it wouldn't be seen that way. It's like I really hustle. I don't dilly-dally. I'm not on my phone. I'm a killer server. I would make great money, but I would get written up for like hurting someone's feelings on the wait staff. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is what you're going to get after me for? Like, I'm hustling my ass off. I have so many good reviews. People love me. Like, so I would say that, like, I was never appreciated. I mean, there's a bunch of other things people hate. I loved it when I did it. I enjoyed it. I got paid well, especially for where I was in my life. And then one Sunday I was working the brunch on the patio, and the patio, man, you have to to get water, to get ice, to get lemons, you have to walk all the way over, and you've got 14 tables. And I remember there was one woman who didn't tip me at all. And I was a killer waiter. This day I was not. And I was so, as they say, in the weeds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So stressed out. And I stopped. I punched a wall, and I was like, I'm done. This is it. I have nothing on the horizon, but I can't do this anymore. It was just this one day that really got to me. And once I had that epiphany, I was like, I can't go back. Like, that's it. And I put in my 2 weeks.
There was I've been a part of the food industry for like the past 15 years, and I remember one lady. I feel like they don't get it when it comes to the guests. There, you got a great guest, you got an awesome table that just wants to have a good time, and they genuinely ask about you, and you engage in conversation. There was one lady who was complaining about the price of something. She's like, I can make scrambled eggs at home, and I was like, well, all due respect, man, yeah, you can. And I was like, you come in and you sit down, and then you tell me what you want to drink, and you just sit there. And then I bring you your drink, and I sit it right there in front of you. And then you tell me what you want to eat, and you just sit there, and I bring it to you. You want ketchup? You want hot sauce? I bring all of that to you. You're also paying for the not having to do it part. And yeah, definitely. And it's a thankless job. But that's when you said you decided, to hell with this, I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to take this leap. So everybody wants to take that leap, myself included. So first of all, what drove you to do that? I guess that story you just told me drove you to do that, but it's just that fear of taking this first step towards something that probably doesn't make money now. Maybe it's a long game, and so what can you say to people that are afraid of taking that step or opening that door or taking that jump off the cliff?
Oh, that's a good question, man. There's a lot. I think your mindset, I think the post you're talking about is my mindset post.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mindset is everything. It really is. And I've always just had a positive mindset and an abundance mindset, which is like, there is work out there. There are jobs out there. I am capable. I can get it. I know a lot of people who don't feel that way. And the purpose of that post was to tell people that they can, in fact, change the psychology. Like they can, if you have, if you don't have an abundance mindset, you can learn to, you can teach yourself to. But a lot of people who don't have that, they're like, oh, it's mumbo jumbo. I don't believe what he's saying. I don't believe any of that. But it really is true. So that's the biggest thing. It's like having the mindset of like, yes, I can. Things will happen. Work will come. My production partner at the time, Ross, from Just Another Production Productions, we split up 3 years ago, and JAP, as we call it, hasn't existed since then. We'll probably get into that, but he was always, it's called scarcity mindset. I was trying to remember. Scarcity mindset is when like you're scared and you don't think there's enough. He had that mindset. I had abundance. So he was always like, and that's eventually why we broke up, because he was like, I need a job, I need work, I need money. And I'm like, let's just keep going. Like, we're pitching to networks. We got some stuff on the horizon. We just worked with Hewlett Packard. Like, we're doing some good things. And that's what led us to breaking up finally. That mindset is the biggest thing for me. Not being crazy, like having things on the horizon. Like, I knew I had skills. I knew I had jobs. I knew my goal was to be a producer and actor full time. But that mindset of like, I know it's going to happen. I know it's going to come. It sounds insane, and it probably is, but that's just how I did it, honestly. And it's worked out so far.
Going back to being a waiter, sometimes you become friends with people that you turn out to be lifelong friends, because you're in the trenches together, you're in the weeds together, and you just relate so much, and you're spending so much time with each other. How does that parallel to somebody that you worked with? Maybe not go into detail with what happened with Ross, but when you work with somebody in a professional capacity and then you go your separate ways, is it difficult to go back to personal conversations? How you been? How's the family? How's your mom?
So I will use Ross as an example, because that's the biggest one. So we were production partners for like 6 or 7 years, and then we split up, and our split up was really, really ugly. And we were very close friends. He was my best friend in LA. We stopped talking. We got lawyers involved. It got really ugly. I hated the guy. And then a year and a half later, he reached out to me out of nowhere, and he was like, I miss our friendship. I was an idiot. I was like, I miss our friendship. I was an idiot. We got a whiskey the next day or a couple days later, and then we slowly started getting back to being friends. It's different, and it still feels a little different because we were working together 5 days a week every single day. Like, we would see each other from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. almost every day. Until now, go into conversations that don't revolve around production, don't revolve around what we're creating, what we're in post-production for, but just like friend stuff. So it is different. That's just life.
So on your YouTube, you have one series that's pretty cool. And to go back to your love of Power Rangers, it's called Life After Power Rangers. So I'm not even sure what your character's name is. I might have missed it, but your character is the Green Ranger, and I think do they just name themselves as their colors? Is that what it was?
So we didn't want to deal with like what universe this is in, or like if I'm Tom. So we didn't want, because we weren't saying that like I'm Tommy Oliver or she's Kimberly Hart. It was just like, no, he's the Green Ranger. He's the red. It just made it simpler, and we don't have to get into the backstories. We don't have to like pretend we're these pre-existing characters. It's just like, no, I'm the Green Ranger.
No, yeah. So the Green Ranger is a Lyft driver, and he does trying to find some type of semblance and type of purpose after being the Green Ranger. The best part is that you're still dressed like the Green Ranger, and bro, you're playing basketball, you're driving, you're doing a bunch of crap as the Green Ranger. So how did this idea come to fruition? And then you got blessings from some of the Power Rangers themselves. If you can get into that too.
Yeah, so real quick, the basketball was like, that helmet like wasn't staying on. It was like coming apart. And I was like warming up when Jay, my co-creator, was like getting the camera ready. And I missed every shot by like miles. And then when we filmed, I hit 4 shots. Those were all right in a row. That's why
those were actually in a row because there were camera cuts.
I know. But if you look at like my movement, you can maybe see that I'm moving around the court. Those 4 were dead in a row. And those were the only 4 I hit when we were rolling, which is insane.
So and your co-star's confusion was probably like totally authentic then.
It was probably semi-authentic. I mean, he knew like we were going to shoot until I hit them, and I just happened to hit all 4. So how it came to be, I was in my back room editing, and I get a text from my buddy Jay Diaz, who is quite successful. He had a series called The Flip Side, which went crazy viral. It was one of the first Yahoo original television shows. And he was like, have you ever thought of doing a web series about what it's like for a Power Ranger after they're no longer needed to save the world? That kind of thing. I was like, no, but like I wanted to do a fan Ranger thing for a while that's in my tone of comedy. And he was like, what if it's like a mockumentary like The Office or like What We Do in the Shadows? And I was like, let's get on a call right now. We hopped on a call. We spoke for like 20 minutes. I was like, dude, if you're serious, like locking Jay down is impossible. Like, he's working on a bunch of projects. He doesn't get passionate about a lot of projects. And when he does, he's all in. So we talked for like 20 minutes, and I was like, dude, if you're serious, I will go online right now and spend $200 on a suit. Like, I already have the helmet. My mom bought it for me last Christmas. I just need the suit. He was like, I'll do 1 episode and we'll see what happens. I went online. I found a site in China to my specifications. I sent it in. They sent it to me 3 weeks later. And then we shot the first episode.
The best part about this is that you had no budget, but the most interesting thing is that it's been said online that there was no script. You came up with everything when you got there on the day.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to keep it? Was it because there's a recurring storyline of him trying to get an audition, and so was it difficult to keep the storyline going knowing you had no script? Because there were a lot of like continuous jokes in there that might have been hard to remember.
So a lot of it was written when we were improvising. Like when David Yost agreed to be in it, we were like, I was like, man, how can we have him more than, because he was only going to be 1 episode. We had him for 2 hours, around 2 hours. He was like, yeah, I can give you 2 hours on blah, blah, blah. And then when we were there, he was like, take all the time. This is great. This is fun, whatever. He's awesome, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
So we had him, and we shot this thing out, and then Jay and I were like, why don't we make this a recurring thing? So let's tease him. We have him for 2 hours. Let's tease this conversation at the end of episode 2 or 3, whatever it was. I think it was 2. Have him in the majority of 3, and then tease him in 4 and 5. We just have to shoot like a couple lines with him And then later down the road, when we shoot those episodes, we can just remember what happened and fill that in. So that wasn't in the original storyline. And once that happened, we were like, oh, shoot, now he has auditions. Like, that was never part of it. Then once Walter got involved, we were like, oh, shoot, we have to, like, we had other ideas planned. I was potentially going to have, like, a plot line with my scene partner, my good friend Maria. We were going to have a triangle with her and the Pink Ranger and me and the Red Ranger, but that faded away because we were like, we got David, we got Walter. And then when we were improvising, Josh, who's the Red Ranger, said he sold his morpher to a kid on eBay in Nebraska. So we kept that in, and then we were like, shit, we have to go to Nebraska, find a kid, get this morpher back, and that has to be, we didn't know how it was going to conclude. So we were like, that has to be part of it now. So it kind of wrote itself as we were improvising. And we also shot out of sequence because we had Walter different dates, David. Some of the stuff with David we shot like a month and then before we shot my getting the phone call, right?
Oh, okay.
So we had to be like, oh man, what did we shoot? So we had to go back and look at the footage and like respond to that. It was wild. It was wild. And yeah, we didn't have anything written. We had 2 sentences written in the entire time, and it was for Amelia, who played the news reporter, because we wanted what her to say to be like really legit and official. And she was like, can I get a script? And we're like, sure. And Jay wrote up like 3 lines, but that was the only thing that was written down.
So David Yost plays your agent, and then Walter Jones plays a producer type guy that you go audition for. So how close to the real thing are those types of experiences when you're trying to sell yourself in an audition and to an agent?
I'm trying to think of what we even put in it because we shot.
Okay, so like in in the one with David Yost, you have to meow for him because it's like, hey, cat food's really big right now, and it's just like, what? I tried to come and be an actor, and you trying to pitch a cat food commercial to me, and then with Walter Jones, like he just immediately asks you, like, have you ever had hemorrhoids? And and now you have to feign some type of pain from said hemorrhoids.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty unrealistic how we did it. I mean, it's that at a much lower level, and I think that the cat thing was all David Yost. I think he improvised that, and it was hilarious. Like, that was me in real life reacting like, you want me to meow like a cat? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Like, that was all real happening. I mean, no, it's all pretty hammed up. I mean, a lot of times, like, the conversations are like, you have a great look. I see you doing these kind of roles. Those are the conversations you have. Sometimes you'll be asked to read something to, like, show that you can act. I've never been asked if I could meow like a cat. Commercials, producer sessions, and, like, director sessions, they can be similar to what we did with Walter. Obviously, we did hemorrhoids, which is ridiculous. I've had auditions for hemorrhoid creams before. They're not fun. It's just a ton of dialogue, a ton of doctor talk. Like, I used to have flare-ups, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's very, very word perfect and, like, chunks and chunks of dialogue. But you do a lot of times, like, I had an audition where it's like, okay, now show discomfort. Okay, like, more discomfort, less, like, oh, you got an itch. Like, some pretty, like, gross stuff, but it's never the point of which we did with Walter.
When it comes to your YouTube stuff, you're both actor and producer. So when you're in front of the camera and doing the lines, do you find it difficult to also have your producer hat, or is it something that comes easily for you? Because I feel like the producer's point of view is much different, and maybe as an actor you feel like you're going this way. Maybe when you watch the playback, it's, oh, maybe I should do this, or maybe this should be over there.
That's a good question. I think that I do a pretty good job of, like, turning it on and off. That's never been an issue or problem for me. I mean, Ross and I did so many videos. We probably did 180 videos that we produced, shot, wrote, edited, improvised, everything. Lit, filmed, I mean, everything. No, I think because I've been doing it for so long, it just comes second nature. I recently got hired to create, write, shoot, edit a commercial. And I purposefully did not cast myself in it because I was like, this is the big leagues. Like, I want to just be producer the day of. Like, I don't want to act in this. I have enough stuff to worry about already. I did casting, I did locations, I did waivers, I did payment, I did edit, I did everything. I hired Jay to shoot and direct it, but I did everything else.
I feel like when you're so passionate about a project, you kind of want to do everything, because as an editor, things can come out different. As a director, they might not get the shot that you want. As an actor, they might not say it the way you want. So your YouTube became very successful. Can you talk about how... No, it's good. Dude, I have like 505 subscribers.
Yeah, but numbers aren't success, man. My numbers, like, I have like 30,000, but none of them care. None of them get it. YouTube's whack. Like,
No, I understand that, but I mean, it's almost like a validation from people you don't know. Like, it's, you work so hard towards something and you want to make it good, and then you get like 18 views.
Yep.
And so, it can get discouraging, but just like you said, positive mindset, you just keep on trucking, keep on going. So, but can you talk about YouTube, how it's become such a successful platform that, like, Kevin Hart now has his own production company for YouTube specifically. First We Feast has a bunch of food stuff, including the Hot Wings episodes. YouTube has become the go-to place now, maybe especially now in the pandemic too.
Yeah, I have very mixed feelings about YouTube. I think the platform in a whole is kind of going down. Like, they keep changing things, and now you have to turn on the bell notification to be reminded of videos, which is crazy because, like, even if you're subscribed to someone, you'll never see their videos if you haven't hit the bell. And a lot of people don't know that that's a thing. I know a lot of YouTubers say that now, but, I had 25,000 subscribers before that became a thing. So it's like those 25,000 people are probably never going to see another video because they never hit the bell. That's one thing. I honestly think a lot of things are moving to Facebook. Because the share button is huge and the automatic pre-roll. So if you just scroll over something, it starts playing. That doesn't happen on YouTube. There's no like feed on YouTube that people really go to. But if you're just on Facebook scrolling, reading your friend's posts and a video starts playing, it can catch you and you'll just watch it. And when I put something on Facebook, so the pilot episode of Life After Power Rangers has like 80,000 views on Facebook. And it has 15,000 views on YouTube. And YouTube is what I push to everyone. Or 16.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it's all going to Facebook. It's all going to Facebook, in my opinion.
So when it comes to physicality, I saw some sports that you play. When it comes to physicality, which one do you think can you get hurt more between lacrosse, football, and ice hockey?
I've been hurt in all of them. So I don't know how to answer. I've been really hurt in all of them. Ice hockey, I wasn't really hurting. Shoot, that's a really hard question.
You see, it's the simple ones that get you, right?
Because there's so many factors. Like ice hockey, like there's skates involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's hard ice. Lacrosse, you have a stick where you can hit people really hard, and it's very aggressive.
Is the stick legal in lacrosse to hit people? Or is it like checking in hockey?
You can't swing it, but you can like chip at and poke.
Oh.
But also, so I have three staples in my head, or 4 staples in my head that I got. They're long gone now, but I had my lacrosse stick back here, and I was going to shoot it, and I was not wearing a helmet because it was just like fall ball, like we were just playing in the gym. And my buddy came down on my stick. But as I was moving forward, he tracked it and clocked me right in my head. And I remember blood just gushing down and like feeling it in my hands. And the next thing I remember is I woke up in the nurse's office.
Nice.
I blacked out. And I had a play to do that night. I was playing Polonius in Hamlet. So I went to the ER. No one would see me. I was with my mom and my dad. I was like, fuck this. I'm out of here. I stormed out after waiting for 2 hours. The play was trying to figure out what they were going to do. I got there with like 10 minutes left, put on my outfit. My character dies 3 times during it because it's a comedy and it repeats itself.
Oh, that's easy. That's very easy for your situation.
But I remember halfway through, I was like, shit, it's bleeding again. but not as much. So then when I finished the play, I drove back to the ER and got the staples in my head, and everyone was like, "You're insane." So, but even so, but I don't think lacrosse. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really
I
don't
mean,
think lacrosse.
just from my perspective, I never played a game of lacrosse or watched one. Hockey, I feel like it's only checks. So I'd say football. It's like you're in a car crash every 30 seconds.
I tore all the tendons in my right foot in football, but I also tore a bunch of tendons in my right shoulder in lacrosse. So
Look at you. You're such a trooper. And all that tenacity has allowed you to work with some big people in Hollywood, including a pair of brothers. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about Can You Handlebar. Can You Handlebar is a cool American-made company that helps you groom and make your facial hair look pretty. I know everybody's grown a beard. All us guys decided not to shave during this pandemic. So I decided to start partnering up with Can You Handlebar. They sent me some beard balm, a mustache wax, a cool little brush, and a mustache comb. So guys, if you have a beard and you're growing it out and you want it to look cool and put together, make sure you visit canyouhandlebar.com. When you go to checkout, use my promo code DNC Digital for 15% off. So Noah, you did Hail Caesar with the Coen brothers. You were a waiter and you were yelled at. And you were scared and you ran away like a little mouse, but you were still in that movie, and that's still an accomplishment. Did you have a conversation with them, or did anybody take you under their wing for that one little line, maybe help you with something toward the future?
yes and no. So that was my first on-set experience where I was one of the principal actors. I'd been on sets before as an extra. Like I was in Social Network for a few scenes, but I was an extra. That was my first big booking in LA. And of course it was with Josh Brolin and Scarlett Johansson. And then Roger Deakins is the DP who just shot 1907. He's the winningest Oscar DP in the history of film. He's incredible. And then, of course, the brothers. I only had 5 words. They changed it to 7 in post, but it was really cool because they both direct. So Ethan came over and gave me one note, and then Joel came over and gave me another note. And they were both great notes, and they didn't contradict one another, and I thought it was so interesting. So I was like, they just must know what each other are thinking. And it was a really cool day on set. I was there for probably 6 hours, and I remember them being like, all right, A-team, over here. And they set up a chair, and it was Scarlett, me, Josh. And I was like, and this is when Avengers was becoming a thing, so Josh was just cast as Thanos. Scarlett was Black Widow, and I was like, I'm sitting in between Thanos and Black Widow. This is insane. And Josh was the most charismatic, friendly dude in the world. A true star. Charismatic, lets everyone in, talks to everyone, really is one-on-one with you. So that was pretty unforgettable.
Yeah, I did a lot of extra work too. I was actually in Find Me Guilty, a Vin Diesel movie that nobody watched.
Never even heard of it.
Never heard of it, but I have a good 20 seconds in that film. But the one I was in was War of the Worlds. And I don't know if you remember that one scene where they're driving through all the cars on the highway. So if you pause it and put super slow motion and you look toward the right top corner of your screen, you will see my back. So that's I know. My mom was so proud. But one cool story from that was that Steven Spielberg walked out and he just looks at the scene. He looks at everything going on. And he's looking at every car, and then he just kind of waves me over. And I'm like, I just freeze. And I'm looking at him like, what? He goes, bro, he tells me to hurry up, and I'm like, oh, yes, sir. And he's looking at me, he goes, I need you to do this, and the car's going to go by and just make sure all this happens and all that. And I'm like, you're Steven Spielberg. And he goes, yeah, I know. Can you do all that? I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I just walked away I don't care what anybody says. Nobody's going to see me in this movie, but Steven Spielberg directed me, and can't anybody take that away from me. As an extra and all this stuff before you start again speaking roles, is there any story that you can look back at and just walk away from that experience man, that just happened? Especially being so young and wide-eyed in the industry.
Oh, my God. So my craziest story was with Paul Rudd. I was working as an extra on How Do You Know with Reese Witherspoon and Paul Rudd and Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson, yeah.
And I remember they cast like 500 extras. I was living in DC. I had just gotten out of college. The casting agency called me up. They're like, "We need you on set." I'm like, "Oh my God, this is the coolest thing. I was cast in this film." Little did I know, like I was an extra. I didn't even know what that meant, but I was like, I'm in this film with them. And then my buddy Mark Vermont, who is the artistic director at Ford's Theater, which is a very famous theater, where Lincoln was assassinated. That's where his booth is, in Ford's Theater. So he saw me post on Facebook, and he messaged me. He was like, "I'm a huge fan of Paul Rudd. If you get to talk to him, let him know I'd give him a free private tour of Ford's Theater." I was like, "Mark, I'm not going to be able to talk to Paul Rudd. This is a movie. No shot I'll even see him." They have 500 extras that day. Halfway through the day, they pick 50 extras to go over to a different holding cell. Then they pick 10 actors to be extras in this one scene. I'm one of the 10 actors randomly. I do the same walk every time. I'm in the trailer of the film, doing the same walk, same walk, same walk. Okay, take 10, reposition, right? Paul goes over, sits on a chair. I'm like 15 feet away from him where my first place is, where I should say. I go over to him, I say, "Hey, Paul, I'm Noah. I'm sure you get this all the time, but my friend is a very huge fan of yours, as am I. He wants to invite you to Ford's Theater if you'd like to attend. He's the artistic director, and he can give you a private tour." He's like, "Oh yeah, my wife and I have been looking for something to do. Like, that'd be cool. Like, what's his number?" I ran over, I grabbed a piece of paper, I wrote his number down. I was like, "Here you go." He's like, "Great, thanks." I was like, "Good to meet you." We shook hands. Remember shaking hands?
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember about that, and that's something that I really miss because everybody's become such a germaphobe. I can't even hug somebody or cough in anybody's presence without looking like I'm killing puppies.
Yeah, I can't even cough in people's face anymore. It's awful. Terrible. So that night, or maybe the next night, I'm like napping, and I wake up to a missed call from Mark. I get a voicemail. "Hey, Noah, it's Mark. I just spoke to Paul Rudd, and he asked if we could go on a tour tomorrow at Ford's Theater with Reese Witherspoon, Jake Gyllenhaal, because they were dating at the time,
Right.
and Paul Rudd. Would you like to come? Call me back." I called him back. I was like, "What?" The next day, me, Paul, Reese, Jake, and Mark toured through Ford Theater for 2 hours. And then the next day, I was back on set, and we were doing the outside shot of that same scene where Paul chases after Reese, and I cross paths with Reese. In between takes, after it's done, Reese crosses all the way across the scene and comes over. She's like, "Noah, hey!" Gives me a huge hug, and she's like, "Thank you so much. That was amazing." I was like, "It was so cool. Like, I'm glad you enjoyed it." And then the PA was like, "You can't go up to them and talk to them." I was like, I didn't. She came up to me. I hung out with her yesterday. And then all the extras were like, "Who are you? Like, what happened?" And it was like, that story, I know it was really long, but that was one of the coolest experiences of my life because, and Paul, gave me his number. It was awesome. It was really awesome. I texted him when I moved here, and he never got back to me.
Oh,
I got to work with him soon, though, and I'll be like, "Remember me?" And he'll be like, "Oh, my God, Noah." My best friend's mom was at an Emmy party the other day, or Oscar party a couple months ago, and was like, "You know my fake son. His name's Noah Barron." And he was like, "Oh, my God, Noah's great. Yeah, of course I know Noah." So I'm like, "Paul, you sneaky guy."
So those steps are in there. They're in there. You're slowly getting in.
The second he sees me on tape for something he's producing, he's going to be like, "Noah, yes."
Speaking about producing, when you put together all your stuff for YouTube, you have actors come in, and you even have extras too. So, is there an audition process for them? And if so, do you see yourself in them as a young Noah coming into the industry?
I see a couple of them as young Noahs, young whippersnappers. I don't hold casting calls. I run an acting studio. I'm the COO of Anthony Gilardi Acting Studio. As you might know, we're based in West Hollywood. So I have 100 really, really brilliant, talented actors. whether they've never acted before or they are working on shows right now. I mean, if you watch some of my stuff, Lindsay Morgan was in one of my first videos. She's now the lead of the 100 on CW.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Anna was an extra in Tinder in Real Life, and she's now Starfire on Titans. Like, I have a bunch of friends who are in, like, Hinna is now the fiddler on Stargirl. Like, all of my friends are now these big shots, but we all had to start somewhere. So I don't hold casting calls. I'll like post online to be like, hey, we need 20 extras or whatever for like a bar scene. And people typically like want to work with me because they see my stuff and they want to learn and they want to see how guerrilla filmmaking is done and low budget stuff and YouTube. So getting people has really never been an issue. And then casting like actual roles, I just have so many talented friends that like Life After Power Rangers, I literally just asked my friends to do it. They were all my friends.
How does it feel having people that you worked with, and you know, you probably feel like you played some role in their progression in the world of acting, and now they've gone on to do such huge roles.
Yeah, I don't know if I've played a role. I think that it's just we've all come up together. Like, we're all supportive of each other and helping each other, and we're all talented, and it's just like who gets the break, who gets the auditions, who gets that hit. So like I don't think necessarily that like Hinna being in one of my videos or Anna being an extra, like I don't think that led them at all to where they are today. But I do think we've gone along the same trajectory with one another. Like we've been to the same acting studio together. We've been to the same classes. We've studied the same. We've had the same agents at some points. I wouldn't attribute it to me personally. I think it's more our training, our experience, and our drive, honestly.
One thing I did want to touch on is that since March, everything has been shut down, you know, with the exception of a few things. And so now with the 6 feet rule and this whole, you know, thing going on, without getting into too much detail, how do you think production will be in the future? I mean, like, do you think maybe after somebody's feelings have changed about, you know, being around other people with germs involved and all that stuff, like maybe somebody will pass on a project that they've been passionate about, or they'll refuse a role, or, you know, how do you think the world of Hollywood and cinema is going to be now after all this stuff has changed?
I think that people passing on projects they're passionate about are going to be more common than people accepting projects that they're passionate about with everything going on. I mean, people don't want to die, understandably so. They don't want to take that risk. It's really hard to see where this is going to go and how it's going to shake down. I think with independent filmmaking, like myself, I'm working on a movie right now we're in pre-production for, and we're hoping to shoot in a couple months. There's 5 roles, and it's going to be a small crew. And we're going to shoot on location over like 3 weeks. I think that's possible because if everyone just gets a test and then we kind of go away for a month together, no one's going to get it. Hopefully. I mean, like, we're not going to go out. We're not going to party. You know, we'll have to go get food like at grocery stores, but we're going to be really safe. I think that kind of stuff will work. I mean, I'm hearing things like Tyler Perry wants to quarantine everyone in the cast and crew for 2 weeks, and then they all shoot together. But I also hear like people are now saying no to that. So it's going to be really tricky to see how this works. One of my friends was just on set the other day filming something, and you know she was wearing a mask the whole time. She was behind camera. I just don't know how you do like football game scenes and bars and extras outside without masks. Like, I don't know how that ends. I really don't know how it's going to work.
There's so many more steps to do when you talk about testing and masks and like people's feelings now. You know, before it was like, yeah, I want to be an extra. Let's go. Let's shoot this. And it's a lot of hurry up and wait, but now it's just wait, just completely wait. One thing I did want to announce, guys, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys supporting my YouTube channel and all these interviews that I do. I finally got merch. Check it out. I have DNC digital shirts in black and in white from small to extra large. What you're going to do is follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at DNC Digital. Send me a message. Let me know if you want to buy one. I appreciate anything I appreciate any sale. If you guys want to buy a shirt, if you don't, it's fine. Just hit the like button and subscribe. Noah, thanks so much for doing the show. I still have a few questions for you, but they're kind of like the thunder round questions, you know? So we moved into an apartment, and I found myself really liking to decorate. I used to not care. I used to not really. You got a couch, you got a bed, and a TV you're set. But now I like to decorate. I have my Christmas story lamp over here. I got a cool elephant on the shelf. So I'd like to know which one had better sales. Was it the Noah Baron remote holder or the bookshelf?
Neither, because I made both of them and no one bought either of them. I'll go shelf because I made it for my wife.
Yeah, that bookshelf looked pretty cool.
Thank you.
When you talk about millennials ruining everything, which is a video on your YouTube channel, do you feel like the industry has gotten much more sensitive, or do you feel like maybe there's some warranting to not making a scene or taking down a poster? Because like a favorite movie of mine, which has nothing to do with my feelings, it's just a funny movie, is Blazing Saddles. Now, something like that wouldn't get past the writer's room. And nowadays, it would just be like, get the hell out of my office. How do you feel about, I guess you can call it cancel culture?
That's not an easy question. That I've never been asked that one before. Office, Friends, New Girl might. These shows wouldn't make it past Friends? God, no. We have become so sensitive, but that's not to say it's not a good thing, because a lot of things that we as a society and industry let fly for so long that shouldn't have needs to be done with. The racism, the sexism, the openly ridiculous stuff, but the joking and the like pretty harmless stuff like The Office, I think, is golden. Like, that should stay. It can be racist, it can be offensive, it can be sexist, but I think that's the line, personally.
As somebody who has done a lot of comedy, do you feel like nobody's exempted from comedy or a joke?
No one's what?
Exempted from being made fun of, being poked at, like, not in a malicious way, but, you know, when you talk about Key and Peele, who did a sketch about a paraplegic veteran who was a burn victim, and like a lot of veterans came up to support them and defend them, saying like, hey, it's okay. I'm tired of people looking at me and being scared to make a joke or being scared to even say something.
So what's your question one more time then?
You know, like, don't make fun of that, or don't make fun of that. Don't make fun of racism. Don't make fun of, this kind of joke. You can't do that joke, you know. A lot of comedians feel like we're going to make fun of everybody and everybody's included in the joke.
I think that's how comedians feel. I've stopped watching certain comedians because they make fun of things that I don't think are funny or should be joked about. And that's just me. Like the Holocaust, 9/11. I don't find that stuff funny. I don't think people should be making fun of it. But everyone has their threshold. It's so subjective that I'm just one person, and you have different feelings. My wife has different. Everyone in the world has a different feeling about that stuff. So it's really hard to say as a broad statement.
Of course. You're not the only one in the house who's doing something cool. You have a very beautiful wife who runs Clean Living with Erica, and she helps women find some type of nutrition and clean living. Can you tell me more about her stuff, and especially now that people can listen during the pandemic where we're all eating like crap?
Yeah, babe, can you hear this? Nah, she's in a meeting. She's right in the other room. Yeah, so her Instagram is Clean Living with Erica. She works for a company called Beauty Counter, which is safer beauty and health products. So like, I myself am on Beauty Counter. I'm on Counterman, which is the man version of it. So like, I'm like sweaty now because I didn't turn the AC on, but I have like a 5-step regimen that she has made for me. It's all natural stuff. The last time a law was passed in the United States for beauty healthcare was like 100 years ago. And most laws have like a packet of papers. The healthcare law is 1.5 pages. So they advocate for better health and better beauty. Most of the stuff that you can buy in the store is deadly, toxic chemicals. So Beauty Counter is all about healthy and clean living. They've banned all of the ingredients that, if a nation has banned an ingredient, like Europe has banned like thousands, we've banned like 100. Beauty Counter won't have any of those ingredients in it. So she does that. But more impressively, that's her side job. for a living, she works with children with autism. She runs one of the local offices for a company, and she is the head director. There she is. They're asking questions about you now.
I'm here. I like your explanations.
Thanks, babe. So that's her side, and she's killing it. But yeah, for a living, she basically saves children's lives.
Well, that's very admirable. You make sure you thank her on my part for her service, because that's something that's it takes a lot of patience and love, and that's really cool. I didn't know that about her.
In my vows, I said, "You've made a living working with children. Now you're marrying one."
Nice.
It's not a lie.
I bet not. Hey, so how dangerous is dig dialing? Can you tell everybody what that is?
I think it's a national. I think once COVID's over, we should really invest our time and energy into dick dialing, because it's a pandemic, man. It happens to the best of us.
It's pretty. It gets pretty dangerous. So what happens in dick dialing is, well, you know what? It's your skit. You go ahead and explain it to everybody.
It's basically a butt dial, but instead of dialing with your butt, you dial with your dick. When you are in the mood and things move around. That video got like banned, and I had to like change the name and then change the thumbnail and re-upload it or something.
Oh my God! What kind of thumbnail did you have before that?
A very attractive woman in a push-up bra laying on my bed.
Oh, that gets 1 million likes on Instagram. I don't know why they would even flag that.
My entire account 2 months ago was demonetized.
Why is that?
Because there's a lot of sexual comedy in it, and YouTube is cracking down. So I went through and I changed 17 thumbnails and 17 titles, reapplied, and got monetization again.
Did you have to do the "this is not for kids" tab thing?
Yeah, none of it's for kids.
Yeah, none of that is for kids. So I actually I went to an acting school, or what you would call an acting school in New Jersey. And so I was taught that to act is to react. So my acting teacher would have us stand in front of each other and just repeat the same word to each other in a different context, in a different mood. Is that what was going on? Is that what was going on with the bro thing?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so that's a Meisner technique. Meisner is one of the greatest.
Meisner, that's the one. Yes, the Meisner technique.
So that's a Meisner technique. We do that in our studio a lot. That's exactly what it was. And people will comment down below being like, I understood the entire conversation. And watching, I'm like, I understand the entire conversation. Mm-hmm. Because we knew what we were saying. We were just saying it as bro. That's actually one of my favorite videos. I love that video. I think it's so stupid.
What's the title of that video so people can look it up real quick?
I think that's called Accidental Dick Grab.
No, you definitely have to change that title. It was called, damn, now I have to look it up. It was called like a dude grab? It was a dude grab?
Yes. So I changed it from Accidental Dick Grab to Accidental Dude Grab, I think.
Yeah, so you're walking with your buddy, and I think it's kind of like man law. When you and your buddy's hands accidentally touch, you say nothing, and you keep on going with life. And then that's it. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I totally forgot what the name of it was, but the Meisner technique was when we had to stand in front of each other and have a full-on conversation using one word. So,
I love you, I hate you a lot in acting class.
I love you, I hate you?
Yeah, with the Meisner technique. That's a pretty popular one.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It is.
So you were born and raised in the Boston area, and I was born and raised in the North Jersey area. And whenever I start talking out here in South Texas, people think I'm from Boston. So I read that one of your dialects that you specialize in is a Boston accent. Now that they're hearing me, can you throw on a typical Boston accent so they can hear the difference?
You got to park the car in Harvard Yard and pay the man $0.25. I'm going down to Starbucks to get some coffee. You want some? And then usually when I do Boston, me and my buddy, we just say, you fucking goober. Who's this fucking guy, huh? You fucking goober. It doesn't mean anything. It's just what we say to each other.
If I may request, for people who have asked me to say these words, can you just say, are you a narc?
Are you a knock? Like that?
Yeah, from the movie Heat. From the movie Heat. If you ever seen Sandra Bullock get to Melissa McCarthy's family's house. They're Bostonians, and so he just looks at it. He goes, "Are you a knock?" She's like, "I'm sorry, what? Are you a knock?" I'm not understanding what you're saying. And then he slows it down. He goes, you a knock.
I've actually never seen that movie.
It's a good one. You should.
Is it?
It is. I like it. I do.
I would not have thought that was a good movie.
I see we have different tastes. Well, I mean, the start of the interview, you talked about the Sox and the Pats and those guys over there.
Off to a bad start.
But it turned out to be a good one. No, I really appreciate you spending the time with me talking about your career. If you can talk to anybody who has those, the dreams, looking at the stars and wanting to be an actor or getting into the entertainment industry, can you think about 3 words that are so important for an aspiring actor or actress?
3 words?
3 words.
Oh. Passion, hustle, love.
Fair. Very nice.
I think those are them.
That was beautiful, Noah.
Thank you. They're true, too.
I bet. No, yeah, I bet. I used to want to be an actor, and I actually I was able to do a short film for my buddy, and it was a lot of fun. It kind of reignited the fire.
Good.
So Noah, tell them where they can find you on the social medias.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm Noah Baron pretty much everywhere. NOAHBARON. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. My Facebook is The Noah Baron. And that's pretty much it. If you type in Noah Baron anywhere, you'll be able to find me. Noah Baron Facebook, Noah Baron Instagram, Noah Baron whatever.
That's Noah Baron. Make sure you check out this guy's YouTube and all of his content and see where he's going. Because he's going places, and I really enjoyed talking to this guy. I want to thank everybody for listening in to the show. This is DNC Radio. You can follow me at DNC Digital on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Make sure you guys taking care of yourselves. It's a really fucking crazy world out there, and I just want to make sure that everybody listening is having a great day with their families. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share it to your buddies. Let them know what's going on. I try to do my best, bringing the best interviews to you guys and showing all people from different types of life, different walks of life, excuse me. So you guys take care of yourselves. For Noah Baron, this is D. Have a great day. What's going on, everybody?